What do the rich have in common? What are the habits of the wealthy that enable them to accumulate fortunes worthy of fairy tales? I've gathered 14 enriching habits for you, which, if incorporated into your life, will gradually lead you to greater success in your everyday life and finances. Habits are like a snowball rolling down a hill. It grows larger and larger, just like your successes will accumulate if you follow the habits of the wealthy. Of course, these habits don't bring success overnight. This is the challenge of becoming wealthy. It's easy to identify the habits of the rich, but it's not easy to consistently practice them over a long period. It's hard to believe, but in most cases, it's the smallest habits that either hinder or contribute to the greatest successes. Think about it. From the moment you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, how much of what you do is on autopilot? Your morning routine, eating habits when you go to exercise, how you bid farewell to your partner, all of these are part of your routine. Some habits are learned from our parents, while others are picked up from friends, acquaintances, or colleagues, and over time, we come to consider them our own. That's why we make many routine decisions that have become ingrained in our consciousness and are part of our instincts. The many instinctive actions, when you make decisions based solely on feelings, determine what you will achieve in life and what financial opportunities you will have. Will you struggle in your retirement years, or will you live in abundance? Will your goals be fulfilled? And will you be proud of yourself, or will you constantly seek faults and find joy in the failures of others? It may sound harsh, and it's a very negative outcome, but just think about those who find nothing good in anything, those who can only complain. Or look at the majority of lottery millionaires or star athletes who, a few years after their windfall, end up in a worse financial situation than before. This is not a coincidence. Those who suddenly come into great wealth through inheritance or winnings often end up like this. Because even if they win or receive billions, they lack the right habits, knowledge, financial attitude, and quickly lose all that money. If you want to live in abundance, it's essential to adopt the habits of the wealthy. Of course, you don't have to adopt all of them immediately, as that would likely be overwhelming for anyone. Don't get discouraged. Gradually, each of these habits could apply to you. Choose one and start applying it consciously. Now, continue watching the video to learn what the habits of the wealthy are. Number 1. Creating a household budget. You've probably heard many times that it's worthwhile to create a household budget. But it's not without reason that this is the first among the habits of the wealthy. It might seem simple, even cliché, but believe me, it's not for nothing that many millionaires emphasize this. How can you build wealth when you don't even know what or how much you're spending? You know, it's often the simplest habits that are the easiest to neglect because you dismiss them with a wave of your hand. Please change this habit of yours now as a zeroth step. These days, there are plenty of apps to choose from. Take a look at the following. You need a budget or good budget. You'll only be able to move to the next level financially when you know where your earnings are going and what unnecessary expenses you're incurring. However, it's not enough just to know this. You also need to anticipate future expenses and plan how you'll be able to meet them. Only after knowing what you're spending and having a budget plan in place will you be able to truly live a financially conscious life. Number 2. Set aside money for yourself. Have you ever planned at the beginning of the month to set aside whatever money is left at the end? Did it always work out? I think not, and in fact, in the vast majority of cases, it probably didn't. And this is no coincidence. We tend to spend money easily when it's still there in our account or wallet. As long as it's there, it's tempting to buy a new shirt, a new pair of shoes, or dine out at restaurants. Choose the savings account that suits you best, and as soon as your paycheck arrives in your account, deposit your savings amount into it. I recommend making this automatic to make skipping or delaying payments more difficult. By doing this, you can immediately check off this habit from the list of habits of the wealthy. Number 3. Build an emergency fund. An emergency fund is the amount set aside for unforeseen events when you need a larger sum of money immediately. This habit from the wealthy ensures you can sleep soundly at night. Since you've already followed my first advice and know how much you typically spend and on what, you know exactly how much you need each month to cover your living expenses. Then multiply your monthly living expenses by 3. This should be the minimum amount of your emergency fund. If your income is fluctuating or your job is potentially at risk, it may be wise to save up to 6 times your monthly expenses. Once you've built your emergency fund, you no longer need to worry about what will happen in case of layoffs or dealing with a prolonged illness. It's advisable to keep this amount separate but easily accessible, where there is no loss if you withdraw the money. Number 4. Pay off your debts. Debt, to a greater or lesser extent, continuously poisons your life. Believe me, as you straighten out your expenses, plan your monthly budget, and pay off your debts, you'll feel much freer and finally be able to sleep peacefully. There are bad debts, and then there are very bad debts. If you're using a credit card to advance your paycheck, stop it. Don't take out personal loans for anything. And absolutely don't buy appliances or TVs on installment plans. It's essential to differentiate between I want it and I need it. When you need something, you should be able to afford it within your monthly budget. If you want something new, something trendy, then you should think about how you'll earn extra money for it. Number 5. Invest in your knowledge. Do you know what common characteristic applies to every successful person? Yes, it's that they're almost obsessively engaged in self-improvement. Warren Buffett, one of the world's most successful investors and wealthiest individuals, spends 80% of his day reading and thinking, even at the age of 93. Another famous investor and businessman, Charlie Munger, built his career on the principle that every night you should go to bed a little wiser than when you woke up. It's worth creating a schedule for your learning and sticking to it at all costs. Start small. You don't have to read 3 books a week right away. Begin by dedicating 10 minutes a day to reading about self-improvement, finances, investments, or even motivational biographies. Then gradually increase the time you spend on this. It's worth considering your day to find time for longer study sessions. If you spend a lot of time on public transportation, read there. Do you commute a lot? Listen to audiobooks. Do you enjoy running? Try swapping out music for useful educational content. The key is to start and incorporate into your daily routine the practice of learning about a topic that advances your career, provides new ideas, or motivates you. Lifelong learning is not just a joke among wealthy people. Take their advice seriously. Remember, the habits of the wealthy come with sacrifices. Number 6. Make regular exercise a habit. Regular exercise is not just a phrase you've heard for no reason. A sound mind in a sound body holds true. Researchers have shown that exercise not only strengthens our muscles, but also brings benefits to our brains. Physical activity stimulates brain function, making it easier and more efficient for you to do your work. Just like with self-improvement, there's no point in setting the goal of exercising for an hour every day right away. Start small with perhaps a seemingly trivial goal, like 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups, or 10 minutes of biking or running. The important thing is that you can easily accomplish it every day and can't easily find an excuse not to exercise. One of the most typical habits among the wealthy is that 76% of them engage in some form of physical activity at least 4 times a week. If CEOs of major companies find time to exercise, surely you can find 3-4 hours a week for this purpose. If you don't have time to exercise, then you're doing something wrong. Are you really trying to build a life for yourself where you don't even have time for your health? I doubt it. Try to find a sport that you enjoy, whatever it may be. It's even better if you can listen to an audiobook while doing it. Look into how you could combine multiple enriching habits at once. Number 7. Find what you're good at. No matter who you are or what your current financial situation is, you're definitely good at something. The question is whether you've recognized it yet, as you may be far from utilizing this ability in the job market or in your business. You might be talented in gardening, gadget repair, or cake baking. It's not about what it is, but rather about getting to know yourself and finding the activity you have an affinity for and enjoy doing, and moreover in which you excel. Self-improvement, along with the mindset of seeking ways to step out of your comfort zone, can greatly help you in finding what you truly want to do. It might be worth trying out several things to truly discover your calling. I suggest examining your hobbies and starting from there. If you're wondering, what should I do with myself? Then prioritize this point and focus on getting to know yourself and planning what kind of person you want to become. Number 8. Wake up early. Before you fall on your sword, it's not necessary to wake up at 4 a.m. Sleep is an equally important part of your life, so try to get 8 hours of sleep every night. Here, it's more about waking up earlier than when your day officially starts. If you start work at 9 a.m., waking up at 7 a.m. may be sufficient. The key is to complete tasks before your day officially begins that propel your life forward. During this time, you can schedule self-improvement or exercise before tackling your daily routine tasks. Thomas Corley spent 5 years studying the habits and lives of the rich and poor. He found that 44% of wealthy people wake up 3 hours earlier than their workday begins. This habit was true for only 3% of poor individuals. Many have stated that during the morning hours they can be much more productive in building their businesses as they're not disturbed by anyone, allowing them to truly focus on their work. Even if you only exercise and read for half an hour, you'll start your day with a much better feeling and spend the following hours much more energetically. Let this habit of the wealthy be characteristic of you too. Number 9. Eat healthily. During Thomas Corley's research, he found that wealthy individuals value their health tremendously, much more so than their accumulated wealth. More than 50% of those surveyed count their daily calorie intake and adjust their eating habits accordingly based on their body's needs. Many people believe that eating healthily is expensive. Just look at the cost of a bag of tortilla chips and dip, a large chocolate bar, or an ice cream. Fresh fruits and vegetables don't cost any more than unhealthy foods. Yet, the difference in quality between them is like night and day when you swap one for the other. This likely contributes to the fact that 70% of wealthy individuals consume fewer than 300 calories of unhealthy foods, while 97% of poor individuals consume more. This isn't by chance. Those who enjoy what they do, succeed at it, build wealth, want to enjoy life for as long as possible, and do everything they can to live longer.
Number 10. Create a daily to-do list. Every day, think about everything you need to accomplish the following day. Then, make a list of them, and the next morning, review it again. From the habits of the wealthy, this may seem very simple, which is why it's easy to abandon or not even start practicing. If you adhere to this, you won't burden your mind unnecessarily with the many things to do, as there is already so much to keep track of. It's only after achieving many small goals and taking small steps that you will reach your biggest goals. 81% of wealthy individuals make a daily to-do list. It's important to see every day that you've achieved something again. Check them off and give yourself a pat on the back. Celebrate the accomplishment of small goals too. Don't be frustrated if you didn't manage to do something that day. See if maybe you overcommitted yourself, or perhaps didn't manage your time well. Learn from it and try to catch up the next day. Number 11. Be persistent and finish what you started. Many times you've probably started something and then quit after the first difficulties, right? If you have a great idea, it doesn't mean anything until you implement it. That's why they say it's okay to tell others about your idea, because the idea means nothing without execution. It's clear that not every idea will turn into a huge success, but what you learn along the way will always stay with you. You need to learn to handle the problems that arise during the process and even come to love finding solutions to them. Daily challenges are often not refreshing. They can be very annoying, but it's during these times that you need to draw strength from your goal. You need to learn that if you want to be successful and wealthy, you will indeed make mistakes. You'll make wrong decisions, but you need to learn from them, and in the long run, this is how you become successful. Researchers at the College of William and Mary found that the most successful entrepreneurs didn't have time to dwell on their bad decisions and didn't waste unnecessary energy thinking about their mistakes. Successful people see a failed project or a wrong decision as necessary steps to eventually create something truly great. From the habits of the wealthy, I think this is especially important. Think of Thomas Edison's quote about failures: "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." What if Edison had given up after the 10th or the 100th attempt? Number 12. Say no. The majority of wealthy individuals no longer consider their money the most important thing, but rather their time. This is not coincidental, as even their day consists of only 24 hours. In this regard, everyone is equal, and this is fair to everyone. It matters what you do with these 24 hours. Self-improvement, exercise, healthy eating are important, but where will you find time for everything? That's where you need to learn another habit of the wealthy: learn to say no. As Warren Buffett said, the difference between successful and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. Many people are programmed not to like or dare to say no. And it's not just to our bosses, but also to our friends, family, and then we suffer because of the yes. Simply put, not everything fits into the 24 hours of the day. The more you concentrate on, the less likely you are to achieve your goals. Say no to negativity, unnecessary TV watching, everyday drinking, and focus on things that will move your life forward. The University of California has also shown in its research that people who find it difficult to say no are much more prone to stress, burnout, and even depression. They advise that whenever you need to say no, remind yourself that this is a form of self-discipline and that your future self will be very grateful for it. Number 13. Surround yourself with successful people. Surely you know someone, whether it's a colleague, family member, or friend, who fits the description of an energy vampire. Many people live in negativity, constantly complaining, and this can easily drain your energy. Just as in everyday life, try to find the good and positive things, so strive to surround yourself with more positive-minded people. It's a habit of the wealthy to seek out friends who like them, are goal-oriented, optimistic, enthusiastic, and strive to bring out the best in themselves. Of course, this doesn't mean you should immediately cut ties with more negative acquaintances. Simply try to spend a little less time with them and more with optimistic friends. If you don't have such acquaintances, don't worry. Attend professional conferences, sign up for a new course, go to business events, step out of your comfort zone a bit. It's crucial to regularly meet with similarly motivated people. Tom Corley found that 79% of wealthy people consciously spend at least 5 hours each month networking with other like-minded entrepreneurs and drawing inspiration from their conversations. Number 14. Donate to charity. Finally, among the habits of the wealthy, philanthropy has now taken the last place, but it could easily be the first. Many affluent individuals are dedicated philanthropists, with many even owning their own charitable foundations. Several have pledged to donate at least half of their wealth to those in need during their lifetime. Numerous examples can be cited, from Bill Gates to Andrew Carnegie, all the way to Warren Buffett. Don't think they give just because they can afford it. Many wealthy individuals have thought from a young age that performing acts of kindness would create new opportunities for them in the future. It's important not to give in order to receive later, but because it's a good habit that brings positive change to the lives of others. It will also motivate you more and could result in new opportunities in your own life. It's not a problem if you can't currently allocate funds for this purpose, as many places also welcome human hands-on assistance. In this case, it's worth donating your time. You can visit sick children, distribute food, or even walk dogs. Choose a cause that is important to you and contribute to it. I'm glad you watched my video. I think now you can see that there's no magic potion that will make you rich overnight. There's no miracle product or instant success recipe. It's the small, everyday habits that shape our lives, so it's crucial to pay attention to what we do, when we do it, and which habits will stick with us in the long run. Some things may seem easy at first, but it gets harder to maintain them over time. When that happens, hang in there and remember why you started. If you accidentally break a good habit, don't worry. It happens to me too, where I realize I haven't done something for days. Just don't give up, start again, and it will get easier. Your success won't depend on a few days. Think long term. I wish you steady progress, more positive habits, improving financial situation, becoming more balanced and happier. How much do the habits of the rich resonate with you? Write in the comments section. Are there any other habits you think are important if someone wants to be rich? If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. See you in the next video.